Today we're going to talk about 3 overlooked retirement planning topics. So stick around so that way they're not costing you time, money, or energy.
Welcome to the Your Life, Your Money podcast with Scott Searens, teaching you how to thrive in life, wealth, and retirement.
Welcome to another episode of The Retirement Show, all about your life, your money, and your taxes. I'm your host, Scott Searens. My goal is to help you thrive in life, wealth, and retirement. Thanks for joining us back. Hey, if you've been finding the podcast of value and benefit, another source that you want to check out is our YouTube channel. We have new videos coming out each and every week on retirement topics like Social Security, like how to minimize the taxes on your IRAs, 401ks, and retirement savings. A couple of our most recent videos was how to inherit an IRA, making sure that you're avoiding the big tax mistake that could potentially happen when you do so. Another one that recently came out was 5 costly mistakes to avoid in retirement. We'd be happy if you'd check out our YouTube channel. You can go to YouTube, type in Searens Financial Group. That's Sierens, Searens Financial Group. If you enjoy the videos, don't forget to subscribe to our channel while you're there. So, you probably heard on previous episodes of the show that I got married this past summer. I talked about Christy and I getting married in July. Well, you know, both of us are planners, and as we were planning for the wedding, you know, so many different times we felt like we had everything captured. Again, we're planners, we're detail-oriented people. We would feel like, gosh, we've got it all down on paper. We know we've got this plan put together. And then wouldn't you know it, like something pops up. One thing here, one thing there. Sometimes there was something small, sometimes it was something big, and we're like, gosh, we're planners, you know, we had it all, we thought we had it all down, but you know, it's just life. And sometimes there were things that we overlooked as we were putting the plan together for the wedding. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Not necessarily all the things that we overlooked for our wedding, but topics that get overlooked when planning for retirement. So there's 3 topics that I want to talk about today that could sometimes cost you time, could sometimes cost you money, could sometimes cost you energy, all because they just become overlooked topics that you haven't thought about when planning for your retirement. Sometimes they can be big, sometimes they can be small. And so that's why I want to talk about them. So that way, instead of getting into retirement and having it be something that you overlooked, something that could impact your future when it comes to cost or when it comes to how you're going to utilize your time, hopefully you've got now a plan for these 3 items in advance. So let's start going through these overlooked topics here. The first overlooked topic is what kind of medical coverage will you need over and above Medicare? And you know, so often meeting with new potential clients, you know, a lot of times people will come in, they'll say, hey, you know, we're going to have about $6,000 coming in Social Security, and then I've got a pension here. And, well, you know, our expenses are around $5,700. So, hey, it looks like we should be okay. Now, anybody listening to this show already knows the one overlooked topic, but this actually isn't one for today, but taxes, right? So hopefully, if you're a listener to this show, taxes is not an overlooked topic. You know taxes are going to impact your retirement. You also might know that Medicare is going to need to be considered in your retirement as well. But what about the coverages that you would potentially need over and above what Medicare covers? And that can sometimes be an overlooked topic. Heck, actually, Medicare itself is sometimes an overlooked topic. Just in that scenario that I gave you, a lot of times when people say, well, these are my expenses, those are their expenses for going out to dinners, for their mortgage, for their utilities, for their car. But a lot of times when we look through and talk about those expenses, the first overlooked part is making sure that you're capturing Medicare. So let's talk about Medicare, and then let's talk about what you could potentially need above and beyond Medicare coverage as well. So first off, when it comes to Medicare, there's different parts. Part A is the hospital insurance. Now, most of the times you don't have a premium that you have to pay for Part A. And what Part A covers is inpatient hospital stays. Now, there is a deductible, and then depending on the stay and what's going on, you could also have some co-insurance that needs to be paid. So for instance, in 2024, so let's look at next year. We're almost done with this year. 2024, the deductible is $1,632. So you're to go into the hospital and have a stay. And let's just we're not talking about supplements and Advantage or anything like that yet, just coverage that you would need above and beyond Medicare. Well, there you go. One thing right there, you'd have to pay that deductible of $1,632. Also, if you're needing hospital care, it says right here, days 61 through 90, you've got a co-insurance of $408, and then that could continue on days 90 plus. So right there, yes, you do have inpatient hospital stays. The premium for Part A is $0 most of the times, but you could have costs. Again, if you didn't have a supplement or Advantage, you could have a cost above and beyond just the base Medicare there. All right, what's another part? So that's hospital stays, but what about doctor's visits, outpatient care, medical supplies? Well, that would be Part B, the medical insurance part. Now, there is we'll call it base premium that everybody pays for Part B. And in 2024, that's going to be $174.70 a month, $174.70. So again, maybe you're already taking that into account. I hope that you are. When we put together a financial plan, all of the Medicare parts are already taken into account, but you want to make sure that's taken into account. The overlooked part could be if you didn't get a supplement, you didn't get an Advantage, what could you potentially owe above and beyond this? Well, for Part B, that covers doctor's services, outpatient care, medical supplies, preventative services. In 2024, the deductible for Part B is $240, so there's some above and beyond money that you would potentially have to pay. And then usually if you're having any sort of services, Part B covers 80% of the services, but you could potentially be responsible for 20% of the services if you needed something. So let's just give an example here. This past summer, I had my appendix taken out. I saw some of the bills that came in. I mean, we're talking thousands and thousands of dollars here when it comes to the bills for the surgeries, for the doctors, for the hospitals, you name it. All of that could add up. So think about thousands and thousands of dollars of bills if you had a surgery or multiple doctor's visits, and then being responsible for 20% of that portion. And that is what could potentially add up. That is what could potentially be the overlooked topic of the medical coverage that you might need above and beyond Medicare. Now, let's just do a little recap there. A, no premium. B, $174.70 a month. If you stop right there, you're going to have deductibles and copays. However, this is where then you can start to transfer some of that risk to an insurance company. But that still is money that you would have to pay above and beyond the base Medicare coverage, meaning you can transfer some of that risk to a Medicare supplement plan or a Medicare Advantage plan. Typically with a supplement, and again, typically every plan is a little bit different, you're going to pay a monthly premium. So those are costs that you're going to have above and beyond Medicare. Base Medicare, you'll have a monthly premium, and then that could cover the gaps of the deductibles and the copays that I talked about when it was Part A and just Part B, what they would cover. Or you can go with an Advantage plan, which you might have a lower premium, but then you may still have an out-of-pocket max that you would have to pay. So for instance, I have a client on an Advantage plan. They had a surgery this past summer, and while they had a very low or no premium for their Advantage plan, when they had that surgery, well, next thing you know, they had an out-of-pocket max of a few $1,000s that they had to pay for that surgery. However, it limited, right? They're not paying $40,000 or $50,000, but they still do have to pay for that insurance that's going to cover all of the gaps. So that's one topic right there that a lot of times people get a great plan together. They think they've put together things on their own. They've got everything covered. They understand that base Medicare has amounts that they're going to need to pay. but they may overlook the coverages and the cost of the coverages and the cost of the out-of-pocket maxes that they may have to pay, again, to fill those gaps or in case they had a surgery. So hopefully that just kind of sparks the mind to start thinking, okay, do I have this covered in my plan? Do I have a Medicare supplement, included in my plan? Do I have, if I've got Medicare Advantage, do I have enough in my plan for the out-of-pocket max in the case that I was to have a surgery? So a lot of different things to think about there, but medical can be a big thing, especially as we age and we get older. We could have potential surgeries. We need to have more checkups, more visits to the doctors. And so we don't want that to become an overlooked topic that becomes costly for your future. All right, overlooked topic number 2, very interesting one here. Being in Illinois, I find a lot of times speaking with clients that they may not want to stay in Illinois. And overlooked topic number 2 is, does where you live or where you plan to live impact your retirement situation? And my answer here is maybe. It could potentially impact your retirement situation. The first way where you live could potentially impact your situation is from a tax standpoint. Now, federal taxes, wherever you live, you're going to be taxed at the federal level the same across the board. So whether you're in Illinois, whether you're in California, whether you're in Florida or Arizona or Colorado or Tennessee, from a federal standpoint, you'll be taxed the same across the board. But how about from a state standpoint? See, the state standpoint is where things can now change. For instance, in Illinois, when someone takes a withdrawal from their retirement savings, like their IRA or 401k, they're not taxed from a state standpoint. But there are some states that actually do tax those IRA and 401k withdrawals. Same thing from a pension standpoint. In Illinois, somebody with a pension, for instance, maybe you have a teacher's pension. Well, in Illinois, you're not going to get taxed on that pension that you're receiving in retirement. However, you move to another state, you could potentially get taxed in retirement. Of course, I'm using Illinois as the example as I kind of talk through things here because that's where I live. But each state has its own unique rules and laws. And now I've talked about a few things, right, from a state standpoint with Illinois where we don't tax IRA 401k withdrawals. We don't tax pensions. But guess what? In Illinois, there is a state estate tax, and it's lower, a lot lower actually, than what the federal estate tax is. Like in Illinois, our state estate tax is $4 million. If your estate is over $4 million, well, then your family could potentially see the state estate tax. So each state is going to have its pros and cons, and yes, it could impact your retirement situation. The other part, and then I'm going to give you a couple stories here. The other part that could impact your retirement situation would be cost of living. For example, where you're moving, what's the cost of housing there? Is it more expensive than where you're at today? And if you want to move to a similar situation, are you going to pay more? And if you need to pay more for the house, can your retirement plan support that? What about just the cost of doing everyday activities? Being in Illinois, but we live in the suburbs. I know that just the cost of living in the suburbs is a lot different than the cost of living in the city. And so where you're moving to, the cost of the activities that you want to do in retirement, what will that look like? What will that cost? Another thing that you want to look at is property taxes. So I would say here in Illinois, we have some pretty high property taxes. Other states, a lot lower than us. But again, it's doing that overall analysis. But a lot of times this can get overlooked. I'll give you a quick story here of how it was overlooked. Had some clients that have moved up to Wisconsin. And as they moved up to Wisconsin, like, great, we're getting away from those Illinois property taxes. That's going to save us. But guess what? Wisconsin taxes the retirement withdrawals. So while one bill went down, the other bill goes up. And, kind of looking back and now talking about it a little bit in the future, it seems like it's kind of all washed out. So you might make a move where it washes out from where you're at before. Or you could potentially make a move where it would save you from where you're at, where you're currently living and currently at. So a lot to think about there. Another quick story is that Again, as I had mentioned, I have clients looking to move out of Illinois, sometimes because of the weather. And so they're looking for some warmer weather areas. Well, the cost of living or the cost of housing in those warmer weather areas, because that's where everybody seems to be flocking to right now, the cost of housing is really inflating in those areas, really going up. And so for them to, sell their home, use the equity in their home, and take that same value, dollar value, to go to this other state, they actually might be taking a smaller home, right? So they're not able to go equal to that other place. Or, again, as I mentioned earlier, if you're looking to have that same size of home, well, you might have now a mortgage that you have to add to your retirement, or additional on the mortgage that you currently have for your retirement. And so want to talk about this. Like I said, 3 overlooked topics as you're going through your planning. A lot of times we can cover, hey, where you're at today, and you know how much your expenses are for where you live. But what if you were to move in the future? How would that impact your retirement? And if it's on your mind, you really want to understand the state that you're moving to, the taxes that are there. Do some internet research and understand the cost of living and how that could change and impact your life as well. All right. With that, overlooked topic number 3, or third and final topic today. I hope that you're finding these to be of value. I hope that they're sparking some thoughts in your mind to make sure that you've got these things covered for your retirement. Overlooked topic number 3. This one could cost you both time. I say both. Actually, it could cost you all 3 things: time, energy, and money. Overlooked topic number 3 is, should you be planning for the cost of caring for elderly parents? This is one that I find that sometimes people can really underestimate. And as I had mentioned, time, energy, and money are the impacts of this overlooked topic. I would say the primary 2 impacts are time and money. From a time standpoint, helping care for your elderly parents. And this is one that that's really close to me, because I'm very, very close to my parents. Christy's really close to her parents. We're close to each other's parents. And if something, were to be needed, we want to be there for them. And from a time standpoint, right, this can be time away from your immediate family. If you're helping others, if you've got to go and travel to visit them, if you're taking care of them every night, you're helping them with dinners or breakfast or lunches or whatever it might be, this could be time away from your immediate family. It can be time away from your friends. It can be time away just from doing what you need to do for yourself and around your house, and just for you to keep up with life. And a lot of times you say, this really won't be that big of a deal, right? Or it won't happen to us. But, it happens a lot, actually. And meeting with a lot of our current clients, there's a significant amount of them that are helping, both financially and from a time standpoint, their elderly parents. We've got, a client that they're traveling on a monthly basis over 2 or 3 hours just to go and see not only go and see their parents, make sure everything's okay, make sure that they have what they need, make sure that, they'll be okay for the next week or the next couple weeks, and then make that drive home. That's a weekend. That's days away from their own house, their own family, their own things that they need to do, but fully understand it's things that, that they want to do to help keep care of their parents as well. I'll just share a personal story. Watching my mother as, my grandmother aged. Now, she's since passed, but as my grandmother aged, my mother would stop each and every night to help her with dinner, help her around the house, help her with laundry, help her basically with anything and everything that she needed around her house. And then when she moved to an assisted living facility, my mother would, again, continue to stop by. Even though she was, at a place surrounded by others, it was my mother that was stopping by to continue to help her keep social, help her keep on top of things, help her, again, with her laundry, things that she needed in those facilities. It takes time. It takes time. It takes energy. So really want you to think about that, understand that, have a discussion. If you're married, have a discussion with your spouse about that in advance, just to understand that, hey, you're on the same page and what you want to do for your family in the future. You have to also understand and consider, do you have siblings that would be able to help you out with these things? So that was the first impact, right? Time, but then it could also cost you from a financial standpoint. As I mentioned earlier in the one story, right? Somebody's traveling to help out others. That's cost of gas. There's maybe needing a place to stay. What about food? Food for you, but maybe you're also cooking for them and buying the groceries and helping out. So maybe, depending on where you're at in life, you have to take off work. So all of this, right, can add potential impact to your future. That is one that I really see can be overlooked and can have impacts in so many ways, not only time, not only energy, not only cost, but emotional ways as well. And so just really want you to think about that in advance, have those discussions in advance, make sure you're on the same page in advance, because then as it comes up, as it happens, maybe you'll be a little bit more prepared versus having it as a surprise and impacting your future. All right, that's it. The 3 overlooked topics. Let me recap them. Hopefully, just understanding these topics has really made you think a little bit differently and maybe think about making sure you just have these things covered for your future. As I mentioned, we thought we were 2 great planners, and as we're planning for a wedding, you think that you've got everything covered, and it's those overlooked items, sometimes small, sometimes big, that sometimes add costs, would take time. And so same for your retirement. Think about those overlooked items in advance. Don't let them become overlooked, and instead make sure you put a plan together around them. So topic number 1, do you understand the kind of medical coverage or costs that you would need above and beyond just base Medicare? Number 2, where do you plan to live in your future? Do you plan to stay in the same state? If so, you probably already understand those impacts, but if you plan to move, maybe go somewhere warmer, travel, whatever it might be, well, mainly this is about where you're going to live, but if you do plan to move, how could that potentially impact your future? Look at those state taxes. Look at the cost of living. Do your research beforehand. And then topic number 3, if you have elderly parents that are still with you, have you planned for the time and potential cost impacts of helping care for them? Again, if you're finding all this information to be of use and value, don't forget, check out our YouTube channel, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can find it at Sierens Financial Group. And then again, that's SIERENS. You might find some of our most recent videos actually really helpful here. How to inherit money in an IRA and 5 costly mistakes to avoid in your retirement. So again, check us out there on YouTube. If you enjoy the videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Hey, I look forward to our next conversation to helping you enjoy life today and maximize your retirement story.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Sierens Financial Management, Inc. Sierens Financial Group, Inc. is an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through AE Wealth Management, LLC, AEWM, a registered investment advisor. AEWM does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Sierens Financial Management, Inc. are not subject to investment advisor requirements. AEWM and Sierens Financial Group, Inc. are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as a sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences, including, but not limited to, a need for additional tax withholding or estimated tax payments, the loss of certain tax deductions and credits, and higher taxes on Social Security benefits and higher Medicare premiums. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA. Sierens Financial Group, Inc. is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Sierens Financial Group, Inc.